right, we got Richard running camera tonight. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Rich. We also got Doug in the house, too.
Good to see you. Hey, it's Doug Howell, our cheer team.
What's up?
All right. Richard, give us a countdown, and let's have some fun tonight with 228.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you.
These are anyway.
And by GL Robotics. With over 61 colors of 3D printing filaments in stock, your gateway to new technology. Check out their website at glroboticsusa.com. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975. Additional support is provided by Spring Creek Model Trains, your destination for model trains. Stop in and say, wow. Check out their website at springcreekmodeltrains.com. And by Intermountain Railway Company, where the detail makes the difference. Check out their website at intermountain-railway.com. And by Roca Prototype Models. We make it real. Check out their website at www.rocamodels.com. Additional support is provided by Jelsma Graphix, America's leading distributor of quality railroad art and embroidered clothing since 1985. Check out their website at jelsma.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast.
This is the What's Neat This Week show in model railroading, show number 228 for March 18th, 2023. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show, and the April show just got uploaded to Jeff Schultz and Joe Fugate. Rock and roll. That is part 3 in building the shelf layout. And in May, we'll bring it all together and work it into a 12-foot by 5-foot absolutely beautiful layout where the shelf portion can be interchanged with other portions. And this layout is done in HO scale, narrow gauge, but it can be done in any scale. The same concept holds true. One of the most interesting things I think you'll find in this video when it all comes to fruition and you see the entire 4-part series is how we actually took 4x8 sheets of foam and made them 12 feet long. That was a really cool trick using the Foam Pro orange foam that we have over there in the shop and working 1x4 grooves into the sections and putting them together permanently. It was absolutely perfect and it worked. So tonight we've got with us sitting over to where Mike always sits, Mike Buddy.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Mike. Also tonight I've got one of my favorites, Austin Allard, in the room. He's had so many amazing vehicles and projects on Facebook. I thought it would be wonderful if you could share them with our audience. So I'm going to simply say, let's go straight to Austin. Austin, how have you been and what do you got going on, brother?
I've been good. It's good to be back. Woke up at 3 a.m. today. Drove to Chicago. Stopped by Lombard.
Lombard's, yes.
Really, really neat store.
Did you get to see Andrew? Was he up there?
You know, I didn't talk to very many people.
Okay.
But a couple weeks ago, we had a basketball tournament in St. Louis. And I met a guy named Doug Mayer. He's a part-time employee there. He also does, I believe, his career as a firefighter. But he talked to me, and God, he even admitted to knowing that he's packed my orders before. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So it might mean I ordered too many trades. So, but he was a super nice guy. I'd love to go back to see layouts. There's quite a few layouts that we know of up there, and it's a great store. Just the inventory was overflowing. It's hard to take it all in at once. But
it is a good store.
Yeah, it's incredible, and the prices are really good too. So, but personally, been working. Got another truck today, but that's
That's your fourth.
Fifth.
That's your
I
fifth.
can count them on one hand still.
That's your fifth Ford.
In about 2 years.
Did I tell you that River Point Station was bought by Atlas? We mentioned
I
on the
did see
show
that.
last
Yes,
week.
yes, I did. I'm super excited to see
So
that.
beautiful those models are.
Yeah, there's a lot of models that they can release again.
And it's not hard to buy 10 Fords when you get a hold of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been watching them go on eBay now, and they go for $50, $60 a piece, and I'm really looking forward to Atlas.
Now, you and your father was on a What's Neat show. I want to guess it was 2.5 years ago that we were at an open house on your property.
Yep.
And you have a very large layout that's designed to run long trains. I mean, it was just beautiful to sit down there and watch your consists as you ran them. How's the layout doing? And I understand you're working on a lot of vehicles and different scenery aspects for that layout.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple weeks ago, I finally decided that I'm actually going to model the Jeff City sub. Well, probably December.
Okay.
So one of the scenes I modeled was the Big Bend Road overpass, which is actually right by Mike's house.
Yeah, I've been
And
following that on Facebook.
It's a memory of mine that every time we used to go to Kirkwood as a kid, that's the road we drove under and saw either an eastbound or westbound train going through. So had to model that. And then the next one, the one that's actually on the table here, the bridge is a Marshall Avenue overpass. It's actually in Maplewood.
I know that bridge well. I used to own a house on at Atlanta, which was 1.5 blocks from that bridge.
Wow.
And that bridge has had an evolutionary change because when I lived there, the approaches were wooden bent trusses
Right.
made of round poles. And now I understand that the segmental approaches are now cement.
Yeah, so the two ends are cement, and then the middle span, the bridge actually, thank God for Bridge Finder, or Bridge Hunter, I
Bridge
believe
Hunter,
it is.
yeah.
It tells you every spec of everything, so you can pretty much build it from scratch and get it right with a scale ruler. So the middle span's like 35 feet, and then the two ends are concrete, and they're like probably about 28 to 29 feet each.
Okay.
One unique thing about the bridge is it's only 11'9", so it really limits what you can drive underneath it.
That is so true.
And the other unique thing is the road is actually pretty steep downhill on one side. So that's when you get to the other side, it's obviously more than 11'9", but
Yeah.
it's a neat bridge. Just to the west of there is Tuxedo Park.
And it's absolutely true.
It's a beautiful, beautiful old depot that, thank God, an architectural firm bought.
It is a gorgeous depot. I wish you
It
could
is.
show video of that. Maybe I can pull a photograph off of the internet. But they converted that into
It's an architectural firm.
office.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Right.
pretty neat.
Right next to the tracks. There's another great big train station in Kirkwood. It looks like a castle.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
off the
converted
Frisco.
that into a home.
I
Right.
did see that a few years ago.
Yeah, that's at the Highlands,
That's it.
Merrimack Highlands. It was the Frisco station, but then they moved the main line south a little bit because they redid a tunnel.
Yes,
So,
yes.
anyway, yeah, that's part of a house now, and they really did a nice job at all the architecture seems to blend together.
And of course, if you want the famous Kirkwood station that is right there in the center of Kirkwood, JP3D showed us a model of that he produced, 3D printed, available on the market to anybody out there that wants it. You can check that out on his website, but that is...
Yeah, he's going to have an order Monday morning.
That's
now
a
that I know
beautiful
about
station.
it.
It's very well done. He just rocked it out of the park. So many people tried to scratch build that.
Oh, yeah.
And it is not a forgiving
Oh,
project.
man.
It's very
Yes,
difficult to do that.
Very ornate brickwork and rock work and everything.
I remember seeing a house for sale that I think it went in one of the St. Louis area groups for the rail fans and modelers, and it was actually, there was a layout inside of it, and that's kind of why it filtered throughout this page. And there's a pretty accurately built HL scale depot, but unfortunately the house is like $1.5 million, and I didn't think it was worth buying it.
Is that the one that had the big layout
yeah, it
all
had
the
it
way around
upstairs.
upstairs? Yeah,
It had a
wow,
really
man.
nice Kirkwood depot on the layout, but
Yeah.
the house is like $1.5 million.
So that's really cool. So you've got the bridge pier for this bridge right here. Can I touch it?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the one
So-
side, you've already got one of the more intrinsic details of it was that paintwork to draw
Right,
attention
that's
to
like
drivers.
old 40s and 50s style.
Correct. And then you've created
the modern steel structure that,
a lot of I-beams there.
yeah, it was it was neat to look at from underneath too, because it's just like I-beam after I-beam, but it's supporting so much weight. And the neat thing about it, the wood I have found weathers up really well. It's concrete, so does plastic.
Okay.
It just takes a while to paint. There's multiple coats of paint, and there's, I've tried an airbrush, and I've tried weathering
Spray
powders
cans.
and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm slowly trying to see what works and what doesn't. One of the things I'd like to do, obviously, the unique things is like on one side the bridge pier, it's really dirty, and on the other side it's clean, but it's dirty on the way that the traffic goes.
Right.
So you got to look at patterns and all the little details that
Right.
matter. So it's fun. It's fun because you get to go out there. I get to see it, take pictures of it. I actually saw 2 trains go by when I was doing my preliminary research, so that was a lot of fun. And then I get to build it. So
Rock and roll. Also on Facebook, I've seen you doing a lot of vehicles lately, and you
Yeah.
used to not really be a detail-oriented person. You would buy the trains, make the consist, lay the cork, lay the track, and go.
yeah,
Now you're starting to become a little bit more refined in what you're doing.
I don't know why I was scared of decals all these years, because it's easier than I thought.
Okay.
It's easier than I thought. So, but I was over at Dupo a couple weeks ago, and I know Jeff Meyer sent me pictures of the Ford Escape. They have them at pretty much every UP yard. They're for managers, and they've got the yellow conspicuity striping, and then they've got the UP badge, and then they also have like an identification number. I happened to see a maintenance away truck too. They actually redid quite a bit of the line that I'm modeling over the past 2 years, and they parked probably 50 trucks out there, and they've all got the little U.S. Department of Transportation number with the Omaha, Nebraska, and all the conspicuity striping. And I thought, well, I'll make one, and bought a $5 building at a train show last week, and I thought, well, I'll make a maintenance shed, and so here we are.
Nice.
And it's also very, very relaxing to just sit back and do.
So what's going on with the layout? Are you still working on it? Are you running it? Have you kind of backed off to do the detail work at a desk? What are you doing now?
It's a little mixture of everything. There's some days I just go down there and put the train on and kind of just stare at it. And then there's other days where I'm actually working at the kitchen table with the decals and watching TV at the same time. So
That is very cool.
it just kind of goes day by day.
Man, it's good to see you tonight.
You too.
I do want to say that I talked to Greg Summerlin today at GLNRoboticsUSA.com. And tonight we're not necessarily going to be talking about 3D printing because James Regier has covered it so thoroughly on the last 5 shows, I want to say. But Greg told me that he wanted to have me mention tonight, not only is it spring and he's been selling the heck out of robotic lawnmowers, he just sold 4 of them this week. You don't need a goat. You plug this machine in and it mows your yard. It's really cool. If you're interested in something like that, check it out. But he has got a brand new 3D printer, and I can't believe how the prices are dropping on these things. It's called an Anacubic, which is what we've seen James Regier using now, that resin printer that he's been using for the last year and a half. This is a Photon M3 Premium is the way it's written. This has got 8K resolution. There is no more lines. I mean, this is flat as injection molding. It's got an 8.5 by 5 inch print screen. It's not on his website yet. It will be next week. And it's $579. I mean, that for a 3D printer of that caliber of quality to me is unheard of. So evidently, the prices are dropping just like we've seen it do on, remember when we used to just be scared to program the clock on our VCR, right? VHS? Oh my God, I remember those
Pocket
days.
calculators, man, those used to be expensive.
Oh yeah, so first
Yes.
one at Famous Bar or Sticksbury and Fuller was like, what,
Yeah.
$500?
Right,
But
yeah.
it did stuff we couldn't do in our heads, and it was magic.
Yep.
The bankers snapped those
Yeah.
up. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out. This is a very interesting machine. The one last thing Greg wanted me to mention is that customer service is second to none. He will contact you if you have issues. You guys can communicate either on the phone or through Skype. He will walk you through the process of setup if you got any questions or troubles. Plus, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there already on how to do it. It's becoming kind of a familiar, easy subject matter for us to deal with, and goodness gracious, there's the limits what you can make. Anything you want. So Check them out at gnlroboticsusa.com. Thank you very much, Greg, for helping us support the best hobby in the world. Where do you guys want to go next? Because something I wanted to talk about tonight was track. I know we've discussed this a million different ways, but the one thing when people are deciding on what they want to build is, do I go with code 70 or do I go with code 83? Do I want pre-weathered track, or do I want to airbrush it or use that microengineering solution that darkens the rail for you? There's so many different ways to approach this. I believe on your layout, are you using code 100 for simplicity or 83?
83. I ripped off the 100 and put down 83.
Okay.
I think the tie spacing is a lot more accurate. The size of the rail is more accurate.
The next question that always comes into play is, what kind of turnouts do I use? And I don't mean brand name, I mean length. Number 6s, number 4s, number 10s, number 8s, or do I want to hand lay my own number 20 crossover, which looks beautiful and smooth as silk when you see a train going from one track to the other. But that's something to consider when you're doing that. And it's not so much about space savings as it is for performance, in my opinion. I have had small switch yards where I like to work number 10 switches in because they just look good.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
I always use number 8s on my main line, just for the reason you say it. It just looks more graceful when a train is going from one track to another. And I have a lot of long cars, auto racks, and 89-foot cars, so that requires a little bit longer switch for it to look right, in my opinion. But I used to think that code 100 was okay. I didn't see what the big deal was, but then when I started seeing how it looked in my photographs, with the giant spikes on either side, I don't want to be like a snob or anything, but I just thought, man, that I got to go with at least 83, and sure, 70 and even 55 is nice on your sightings.
Oh, 55 and code 70 both look brilliant on sightings.
Right.
Especially on videography. If you watch the What's Neat show, every segment we run a run-by in between segments. And most of those that you see are done on code 70, but all the sightings are in fact 55. And I do know microengineering makes code 40. I said 44 on last week's show, but code 40 in N scale, which makes N scale look that much better.
Dang.
I know, right? There's a lot of things out there. And then don't even start with the brand names. We obviously know microengineering makes a very quality product, and we're looking forward to those number 8 someday down the pike. I got the crossovers number 6 behind me. We've shown those on the show twice. But you've also got Atlas, you got Pico, you got this brand new line of turnouts from Wathers, which I think we featured those on one of the What's Neat shows. The interesting thing about that is they got solder pads for the frogs, so that if you want to do the powered frog that works with the switch machines underneath, that you can do. Just go through the list. There are so many various manufacturers of turnouts. I hope I said Atlas. I started out with Tyco. Do you remember those days?
Oh, yeah. Brass.
Tyco number 4s.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Rail.
The brass would turn green. It did. Oh, my God. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, Mike. So we've got something from Mini Prints tonight, Mike. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. The first one I have is kind of an oldie here. It's a little Lionel that was from a year or two ago when Lionel was making one of his runs to Princess Margaret Cancer Center. But
Lionel Strain.
Okay. It's for our friend of the show, Brad Ogden, and he bought a jacket, What's Neat jacket from us, or from
Brad.
Yeah. So he was quite sick for a while, but he's doing okay now. So. Anyway, he wanted me to paint that for him, and I've had it for a long time. So I finally got it done, and I talked to him today and told him I'd be sending it this week. So I keep trying to make it stand up. So I'm glad you're focusing in on it, because it'll fall over by the time we get done, I'm sure. But the other things we got over here, at first I thought, these are from Bernard Helen at Mini Prints.
Right, and I'll shoot B-roll of these because there's no way that Richard's going to be able to zoom in on that too close.
I thought there was a bunch of animals like deer and armadillos and stuff, and then when I really started looking at it, they're flat on one side. So
is that the roadkill ones?
Yeah, they're roadkill.
I think were those possums?
Yeah, I think. Well, there's armadillos, and possums, and a couple deer.
He did tell me this is roadkill. He said that's prototypically accurate.
Yes, I know.
And
I thought
he
it
had
was.
the fortitude to create something like that.
Yeah, they're pretty decent animals. I mean, you could probably put them standing up with the flat side towards the back, and they would look okay. But anyway, and then another thing he's got here is a bird watcher with binoculars, and then a whole bunch of different bird houses, bird bath, purple martin house, and then I don't know, some other kind of big bird houses and stuff. And then I don't know what this is.
I'm going to be honest with you. That would be too small to scratch build.
Oh yeah. Right.
I could see microengineering doing it in white metal castings, but then you've still got to build the original.
Right.
Right?
Master. Yeah.
The master.
Right.
And this is something in 3D that you can design.
Yeah. It's
on a computer.
amazing the detail on the birdhouses, even, you know, perches and holes and stuff. And so, anyway, the vehicles I got here are all from Burkina. This truck has a sleeper on it from Mark Kulak. He's a resin caster that does all kinds of truck
that's
parts.
nice.
It's a Mercury sleeper, which has it's all chrome, and it has like a sunrise design quilted into the chrome on the side there.
Let Richard shoot that up close. That's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
And so I've got a single sleeper and a double sleeper, and this was a resin piece printed in white resin, and I took a Molotov chrome marker, and it looks pretty good for, you know, from a few feet away anyway.
It does.
So then the cars down here, these are the Ford station wagons that I mentioned last week. These are new from Burkina also, and they have the separate mirrors and etched hood ornaments, etched metal hood ornaments on these Ford station wagons. Wood trim for the country squire, and nice colors and everything. They're really, really nice models. And I'm sure some enterprising modeler will turn one of those into the family truckster from
That's what I
National
was
Lampoon's
thinking.
Vacation, because that's the exact car. You just have to find another one and sacrifice some hoods.
And who makes those
bumpers.
cars? Burkina, you said?
Burkina, yeah. They're
Now, wait a minute. Didn't Rapido make a station wagon?
yeah, they did. That was,
that
Chevy, though.
Was that a Chevy Chase car that Vic
Chevy.
Smith turned it into the car from the movie?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this would be more prototypically correct, these Fords, even though
Okay, Vic,
they
you got to
really
remake your
dorked
station
it up
wagon.
for that.
You get to do the story all over again, including on that car, as I believe it had 8 headlights on it.
Yeah.
Was that right?
So anyway, the Burkina, man, they've came out with the Mustangs recently, and the Eldorado Cadillac convertibles that we had last week, and these station wagons, and then now they've also got their version of the late 80s Chevy Caprice. So that's actually the 4th manufacturer that's done that car, from Classic Metalworks, Neo, Rapido, and now Burkina. They've all got their own version of that car, and it's kind of interesting to have them all side by side. I'll do a little comparison.
Are you going to do a rack with those?
I don't think so. I've already got a bunch of racks with the Classic Metalworks
Okay.
for the 1977 version, and I made my own station wagon version out of that metal car, so I've got my racks loaded with those. These are a lot more detailed, but they're a lot more expensive too.
That is very cool. Deb and Dave Zucker and Mike and
Jeff?
Jeff, all the wonderful people at Spring Creek in Digital, Nebraska wanted me to mention the show dates, because this will include the RPM meet coming up here in St. Louis that they will be at, and also their semi-annual show that they like to have out there in Digital, Nebraska at Spring Creek Model Trains. I want to start out with the Sioux Falls Model Railroad Train Show, and actually that's March 25th, so that's like coming up
Next week.
next
next
week.
week.
Saturday.
So you can go to that show. It's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for 2 days, March 25th and 26th in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They will be there at that show. Another show that we did 2 years ago, I believe, we went to the Rocky Mountain Train Show out in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado. That was a really fun show, as I recall. It's at the National Western Complex in Denver, Colorado, April 1st and April 2nd from 10 to 5 p.m. The next show that they are going to be at is the New Braunfels Train Show in New Braunfels, Texas, April 15th, that's Tax Day, and April 16th, 2023. Spring Creek Model Trains Fremo event at the Thayer County Event Center. This is a show April 22nd and 23rd in Desler, Nebraska. So that, I think, is a show that we went to.
Yeah.
And it's a very intimate show in that you get to talk to the manufacturers. It's not that crowded. I mean, they might have 300 people show up to that. So you've got time to communicate with the manufacturers. I know Intermountain's there. I know Athearn was there. A lot of great manufacturers and great layouts are also at that show. Yes, we have a bunny rabbit running around here that growls.
Hey, there's another show up in Calgary, Ontario, Canada that I'm supposed to mention. It's the Super Train. It's also April 15th and 16th at the Genesis Center in Calgary.
Right.
So I wanted to bring that up for our Canadian friends.
And the gentleman that made us these throttle holders and makes the metal throttle holders that you can buy on eBay to hold all the different types of DCC throttles, contacted me this week in email, and I'm going to deliver the show schedule in his local area that he wanted us to promote on this show. And we're happy to do that because there's a lot of great events, and if you don't know about it, how are you going to go to it?
Right.
I want to talk about the Nebraska Iowa Railroaders Toy and Train Show in Omaha, Nebraska. Spring Creek will also be at that show setting up. That's May 6th and May 7th. The Ohio N-Scale Weekend Show in Marysville, Ohio. That's going to be May 20th and 21st. You can find all of these show dates on the Spring Creek Model Trains website at springcreekmodeltrains.com. They're right there underneath the words show schedules. Another one coming up is the Center for National Mile Roads Expo Center. This is the Pride of Kansas building in Kansas State Fairgrounds in Hutchinson, Kansas, June 3rd and June 4th. And there's one I really want to talk about, and that is the St. Louis Prototype Modelers Meet. That's July 28th this year and 29th at the Collinsville Center over here in Collinsville, Illinois. That's 9 a.m. to 5 on the first day. And I think that's a Friday, Saturday show, if I'm right.
Yes.
And then 9 to 4 on Saturday night. And I book out of there at 4 after I get all my interviews because that's when we have 12 or 14 manufacturers and model railroaders and all kinds of friends out here on the property. Usually about 50, 60 people in the backyard and 35 or 38 cars in the front yard. My insurance covers it. And it's going to be a lot of fun that week here in St. Louis. I also understand, I want to just cover one more thing real quick. I heard the National, NMRA National this year is in Texas. Okay?
Yeah.
And
They're in Dallas.
City?
it is in Texas, and I will follow
Texas
up
is
on
a
that
small
as well.
place, you know.
It's at the Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center. And I'm going to mess this up because I didn't write down the dates for that one. But you can find all this information again at Spring Creek Model Trains website. So thank you very much
Perfect.
for what you do to help us promote the hobby. So what is the next subject that we're going to talk about tonight? And that is this. When you're building structures on your layout, and I want viewers, readers' comments on this. Do you prefer to buy the shake-the-box plastic kits that are already available? And a lot of them these days come available where they're already built and pre-colored and pre-painted. If you've seen the Woodland Scenics lines of buildings, and we've got a lot of those in N-scale on the shelf above Mike's head over here. You don't have to zoom in because I do want to cover those when we work on that N-scale layout over there. The Woodland Scenics has created a whole line of buildings where they're already pre-lit, pre-detailed, everything's there. Would you prefer to go with a plastic structure, or do you like the type of things like BTS or fine scale miniatures where you're scratch building the wood structure? And you've shown that you've got the talent in both, because that hotel right over your head right there, that 3-story building.
Yeah, I did that one.
You did that building, and that was
Yeah.
not an easy project to do. But what do you prefer, plastic or wood structures?
Well, I like to kit bash a lot. So, for a long time I just used the shake the box and put them together, because the pre-decorated buildings really weren't around until like maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Right.
But now, on this layout that I have now, I was really specifically trying to model South St. Louis, and the type of houses they have and everything. And so I kit bashed just about all the buildings.
Okay. So styrene.
Yeah, I started a lot with Woodland Scenics mainly, or what's their line?
DPM, Design Preservation Buildings.
And I kit bashed a lot of those because they have a lot of nice city-looking old town structures that are easy to kit bash into multi-stories or whatever you have to do. So
Okay.
anyway, I guess little of each, really.
What do you think, Austin? Now, you don't have a lot of structures on your layout yet other than bridges.
No, but I'd have to agree with Mike because, like you said, there's a lot of things where if you can find something that's close, you can get away with buying one that's already built. It's a lot easier. You save that much
Right,
time.
exactly. And how much
But
is
then
your
when-
time worth? A
Exactly.
lot,
And when
So-
you're building the layout, it takes forever,
Right.
especially scenery. But if you're building something as specific as Mike or as specific as I am, you kind of want to, if you're going to spend the time and you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And I think it's a lot of kit bashing. Like I'm going to try building Tuxedo Park next. And
Yeah. Oh,
my
man.
God, that'd be cool.
Wow.
That's something that Jimmy did at GP3D again when he brought that Missouri Pacific Salina, Kansas depot train station,
Yeah.
which was specific to Missouri Pacific. That building is 6 parts, as I recall. It's actually built where both ends of the building and then the center structure and then the roof is a complete total of 6 parts. Now, it also comes with all the little eaves. You could add the guttering and all the other little window mullions, but the main structure itself, we're actually painting the rock work, which is kind of, if you ever notice when you build something like that, it's getting the main structure built first. It gives you that excitement to keep on moving with the structure. You feel proud, the rock work looks good, now you're ready to tackle the windows and the eaves and all those other parts. It's kind of a motivating factor when you've got the main structure already sitting in front of you. It just makes you want to get up the next day and do it.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things with structures is it's very era driven.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, you can look at, say, for example, Kirkwood. You can look at photos from 80, 90 years ago, and it looks 100% different than what it does now. So,
But then there's some buildings that look exactly the same, too. you
yeah,
know.
like the Valley Park elevators.
Right, yeah.
Not changed
Right.
at all.
Right.
I know, right? All right, something else I want to talk about is you see us sitting around us are all these jackets from Denny Jelsma. And we're not going to do the letter P or the letter M and scroll through the website tonight. I think you've gotten the idea that the website's well set up. I wanted to talk about the quality of the garments, and I wanted to share the latest new logos that he's just come up with since we talked about his stuff last month. I mean, he's constantly adding to the line. And I'm going to start out with this and put them up on the screen as you see them. There's going to be a lot of Santa Fe here tonight, boys. Starting with the logo of the Tuscan. So this would have ran on the rear of a passenger car, on the rear car, the observation car at the end. And the next one is the oil flyer. Another Santa Fe consist of cars.
Drumheads, is that what they call
Drum
those?
heads. Thank you, because my brain was like looking for that word. I have this jacket. I bought this one. Actually, I think he improvised and updated this logo. This is a Santa Fe Super Chief with the Indian headdress in the background and the F unit coming right at
Yeah,
you.
that's cool.
Perfect for the back of a black jacket, something like that. The Scout is another one he's got, the Santa Fe Scout. I recall that train. Also, we've got the Santa Fe Ranger, another drumhead that you would see. How cool would that even look just on a hat?
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites that he's coming out with, and from what I understand, we presented it on the show about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was going to turn out to be 500,000 stitches, and they decided to scale it back just a little bit but not lose the detail in order to keep the production time from 14 hours down to maybe a reasonable 10-hour print. And this is a shot of the Santa Fe Super Chief pulling in right next to some cars and all the patrons lining themselves up to get on the train. It's a beautiful logo. Next one is a Santa Fe, the Chiefway. And this is a great logo. The Grand Canyon line is written down in yellow. That's Chicago, Oklahoma, and Texas. What a beautiful logo. I'm also moving on to another F unit right here, and that's the Santa Fe, another F7, in fact, number 301C. That would look good on the jacket. The Antelope is another drum head. Check it out. Santa Fe all the way with the little Chief. That's a classic
Scout.
from the Scout. That is
Yeah.
correct. And another drumhead, now we're going to switch railroads here, is Wabash, Frisco, and Pacific.
Oh, yeah, that's Daniels Railroad out
It
there.
is.
Yeah.
So how about that, having the foresight? Also, if you're at a train show, I want to mention that he'll make the jackets and or hats and or apparel for your train club. And this one logo that he's got that he just created in the last week or two is the train crew. It's done in black and yellow, and when you have this on, you know you're a man of authority, probably running the layout, right?
Will it fool the railroad police?
Don't go there. Another one that he's got on here is Via Rail. This is beautiful. I believe this is the same train that Jason made at Rapido. It's got the passenger car and the locomotive on it. Really cool. Last two that I want to talk about is the New York Central system, the scenic water level route with some looks like E6s pulling this train, if I'm right, in the gray New York Central paint scheme. Very scenic shot. And one I want to give a shout out to is Michael Kay. Here's a picture of him. He was chasing that B&O business train that they've created in the B&O paint scheme. It's very beautiful. And he's wearing his favorite CSX Chessie jacket.
Nice.
Front and back. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that photograph. All of these apparels that he has on his website is created by the Port Authority. I'm wearing the What's Neat shirt that he made for me, which is the collar blend. I've also got the t-shirt version here. And trust me, when you wash these, they don't shrink. And all the logos, I should have ironed it. But you can see the quality, again, of just simply the t-shirts for summer apparel. I've also got a couple jackets hanging up down here that I want to talk about. I've got the two behind me here. The heavy winter jacket, which I think is dirty. I'm sorry for that. That's a What's Neat jacket that we've got. This next one here is a Port Authority in blue, the heavy winter jacket. And this is the light raincoat version of that. And of course, any logo you want can be put on these jackets that's on his website. But the fact is, this is quality material, and I thought it would be important to point that out. You're not just buying your favorite railroad logo, you're buying something you could be proud to wear. So check them all out at Denny's website, Denny Jelsma at jelsmagraphics.com. Denny, thank you very much for helping us promote the hobby. We look forward to when you want to come back to St. Louis and hang out. It's always fun when you're here. So guys, where do you want to go after that? Because I think that is ending my notes.
I don't know. I think that's it.
I think it's time for me to go home and go to bed.
You are not that old yet. All right, guys, this is the best hobby in the world. I'm going to give Austin the NCE Hammerhead throttle for the Pro system that we have down here in the basement with the radio control systems. Check them out on his website at ncedcc.com. The power of DCC. You heard me say that at the opening of the show. I always love to say that. Actually, this is one of my most favorite throttles. That one's great for programming. This one's great for just grabbing and running it around the layout, running trains. It's got the dial potentiometer on it. The throttle that Austin's got has got 3 different ways to control the train. With the thumb wheel, with the push buttons, 2 different ways to run your trains. So check them out again. Thank you very much, Jim Scorse, for helping us promote the best hobby in the world.
I forgot to mention Bob Johnson from Masterbuilt Models is the one that sent me those cars, and so I'd like to give a shout out to them. They have a lot of vehicles.
That is very cool, Bob Johnson. Thank you very much for working with Mike, because it's a pleasure to see what he does with all the stuff you send him. And it keeps us updated on what's new. We've got a lot of Intermountain stuff coming up. The box didn't arrive this week. Actually, it's shipped, but I will cover them on the next show that we do. A lot of beautiful freight cars and box cars. So we'll have a lot of new products from Intermountain all of next month. Next month, obviously, it's April. I think we've got to do 4 shows that month.
Yeah.
And I hope to bring on some special guests through Skype, either that way or in person. And if you're in St. Louis and you want to watch us record a show or sit down here and show off your talents, please just come on down and hang out with us. It will make you a space, and we look forward to all of our fellow model railroaders joining us to create this show made for you by simple model railroaders just like us. Right?
Right.
Let's go run some trains, guys.
All right.
Oh
I
my
love
God.
this dog.
Oh, the
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, we got a
I
dog.
don't have cats anymore.
him
Now
out.
we have a bunny,
Right
rabbit.
by the sign, and I was about to get a picture, and then he goes,
I heard him growling. Oh my God, where's the dog? Go ahead and hold him up and show him off. You can hold that up as part of the thumbnail if you want. Mike's got the
Here he
cute
is.
bunny rabbit. We don't have a name for it yet. We're thinking Gizmo. But I think what kind of dog is that?
So,
A Shih Tzu, a very long-haired dog that needs to go to the groomer. All right, guys, what are we doing for the thumbnail? I'll do this.
beat the dog with
I'll hold the dog up.
throttle.
I'll hold my jacket. All right, ready, set, look at camera number 1 and smile. And that's how we do that. Keep camera 1 rolling, and I will kill sound. Thank you very much, Richard, for running camera for us tonight.
I almost said, don't you know a dog
Rock and
groomer?
roll.
Person in the room.
He's awesome, baby. He's the new rock star of the show.
Look at this. There's your B-roll.
There you go. Yeah.
That's how jib cranes work. Good job, Austin. You have a new boyfriend.